On today. I have a great message to share with you, and let me pull it up really fast. In the meantime, Amy, yes, thank you, Amy. Amy is starting us off early with our gratitudes. So let's start with that while I'm pulling up the slides. And also, we learned some of us learned at the Keller Williams Convention that you need to be grateful for 3 different things every single day. So that you you're getting in the habit of being grateful instead of coming up with the same things over and over, which is what we typically say, which is like our health, which, we are grateful for those things, our family. Angie, Yellow Tux, I love it. That is hilarious. I'm grateful for that too. We're going to talk about that a little bit.
So good.
It was so good. Yes, he was awesome. I can't wait for his new book. Monica, I'm right there with you. And Katie, warmer days. I've seen so many people post that meme from the Midwest that said, like, when it hits 50, people are like, the windows are down and like the tank tops are on. And the shorts. Yes. So love seeing everything you guys are grateful for. Oh, Amy, good with your specific. Yes. And your procedure for your Achilles. I knew that was going well. Brothers fishing tournament, daughter swim. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Awesome. Great job with your gratefuls. Amanda. Oh yes. I love 3. Grateful for the sun. Everybody's grateful. We must all really be ready for warmer weather around here. Grateful to have family dinner. Yes, love that. I did that last night. March, moving to Arizona. Oh, wow. Love it. Milton, are you at 20 pounds? Holy cow. I know you're driving, so be careful. Yes, he said, yes, that is amazing. Taylor, oh my gosh, Taylor, Starbucks just got paid by the person in front of him. That is the best feeling. Pay it forward. Yes, love it. Love it. Love it. Milton, that's just so awesome. I am so happy for you too. That is like the best feeling ever. So it is March the 2nd, which is crazy. February is like the shortest month ever. And it always goes by way, way, way too fast. So for those of you that participate in the monthly challenges, I'm excited to share with you our new ones. However, for February, here's a recap. So in case you missed any of it, I know so many of you read the Yellow Tux and listened to the podcast and gave your outrageously generous tips and all those things. So now we are moving on to our March challenges. And I'm really excited about these. So your mindset activity, if you already watched it, is to rewatch it. If you did not watch it, is to watch it. And Heather, I wonder if we could post that YouTube link in the chat. I'm also going to share it in the Facebook group too. But yesterday I had the opportunity to interview Jesse Cole, author of Yellow Tux, owner of the Savannah Bananas, and he was incredible. So your mindset activity is going to be to watch that video. And if you were live, watch it again so that you can see different takeaways. I can't wait to go back and watch it because I was trying to take notes at the same time of asking him questions and it was difficult. Your journal topic, we're going to talk about actually a little bit today, but I'd like for you to ask yourself the questions, this will make sense after today. What stories are you telling yourself? Are they helping you or hurting you? Are they accurate or inaccurate? And where do they actually come from? And you're going to actually, you're going to understand that. Thanks, Heather. There's the link if you guys would like for the Jesse Cole interview. Those are going to make sense later. Your affirmation of the month is going to be everything in my past is preparation for my future. Everything in my past is preparation for my future. And if you would like to do a verse of the month, it's going to be Jeremiah 29:11, which I feel like is one that so many people know. It's like if you know 3 Bible verses, you know that one. And your random act of kindness is going to be to order one of your favorite books and ship it or give it to somebody else with an encouraging note. So a book that has changed maybe something in your life or made you think a different way, and just send it to somebody else. I'm so grateful, and many of you probably are too, that Jen Davis, my friend, gave me Chase the Lion 2 years ago. Because that was like one that totally changed my life, and I've been able to pass that along to so many others. And sorry, I'm going to have to find a plug. No gas and no charger. I'm really winning this Wednesday around here in a major way.
You look beautiful though, so that's all that matters.
Thank you. Thank you. And believe it or not, I'm speaking to, you all are going to find this funny. I'm speaking to about 70 moms. I'm like, I can give them advice on how to have a spoiled dog. But other than that, I'm not really sure. No, I really am speaking on spirituality so to them. However, I'm like, they don't even want to know my parenting skills because they are less than great. Noted by Frankie, who peed on the bed last night, by the way, on the bed, actually on the comforter on the bed. So anyway, so your random act of kindness. And then I'm excited about your book. So Win the Day is going to be our book of the month. And it is another Mark Batterson book. And I've got it right here. And we are going to talk about it today because I want you to hear a little bit of it so that you'll go get it. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this might be as powerful as Chase the Lion, if not more powerful. Oh, there we go. Sorry. There's Jesse. Here's your book. So it's 7 Daily Habits to Help You Stress Less and Accomplish More. He is my favorite author. I'm on a mission for Linda and I to have him on our podcast. I want to meet him this year. But this book is going to give you the jump start that you need to go towards your goal one day at a time. It is a little faith-based. However, if that's not your thing, I would still encourage you to read it. The podcast of the month, I would love for you to listen to. Chris Hodges has a new podcast called Grow Leader. It is one of my favorites. Now I've been listening to every episode. He just started it. There's not very many. I want to say maybe 8 or 9 so far, if even that, but he just released one where he interviewed John Maxwell. And so I'd love for you to go listen to that episode. It's the one that just dropped, I believe on February 8th, maybe. And they share how to be a better leader. And so I think sometimes when we hear the word leader, we're like, nah, that's not me, but you're leading yourself, your kids, your family, maybe a small team, or maybe even a really large organization. Oh, there you go. Heather put the link for you guys so you can go right in and order the book. And by the way, I don't get anything from any of this. I just want to help you guys because it helps me. So there's no link or anything. And then even though it's getting warmer weather, I feel like everybody I'm talking to is sick. So I'm sharing my healthy chicken noodle soup recipe, and it's super yummy. Everybody always wants me to make chicken noodle soup when I go somewhere for them. So I'm trying to make it a little healthier by adding less sodium stuff. If you're going for really healthy, you might not want to do the Amish noodles. However, they're kind of the best part. So just know everything else is healthy except for those for your month. So, okay, we're going to dive into Win the Day. And I'm going to share with you a couple of stories that really touched me from the book. But before, I kind of want to set it up this way. So many people are overwhelmed by so many things. He says these things in the book. We are paralyzed by things we cannot change, which is the past. And a lot of us are crippled by things we cannot control, which is the future. And I feel like this is more true now than it ever has been before. He says the solution is to let go of dead yesterdays and unborn tomorrows. And he says tomorrow are we sometimes we can even mourn them before they even come. So the way to do that is to focus on inputs rather than outcomes. If yesterday is history and tomorrow is a mystery, then why don't you just win today? And so a lot of the book is about that. He says you start by defining what's important now. You have to identify the lead measures that will produce the results that you want. You have to establish the daily routines and rituals that will make your life more meaningful. You have to break bad habits by establishing good habits. And then you have to habit stack. And a lot of you maybe have read Atomic Habits or Tiny Habits. And in those books, it talks a lot about habits and stacking them, habit stacking, because those are the high yield habits that are going to pay you the most dividends down the road. And then I love, this is one of my favorite quotes in the entire book. He said, time is measured in minutes while life is measured in moments. So I really want you to think about making moments. And actually, Jesse lined this up perfect for me yesterday, talking about making memorable moments and how he gave an example for us as realtors. How did they feel before they even saw the house? How did we make them feel? What moments did we give them before they even actually saw the house? This was shocking to me. The average person spends 46.9% of their time thinking about something other than what they're doing in the present moment. Adam would say this is 100% accurate. We are for me, half present, half the time, which means we are half living. And so this has been something I've really been working on a lot. So I want to share with you 3 stories. You know, I love a good story. They're quick. I'm going to read them to you. And the first one, this is a picture of the Australia 2, I believe is how they say it. So I'm going to read you the story. On August 22nd, 1851, Colonel John Cox Stevens and his 6-man crew won the America's Cup in a 53-mile regatta around the Isle of Wight. The race was witnessed by Queen Victoria, who reportedly asked which yacht was second. The infamous answer, "Ah, Your Majesty, there is no second." Thus began one of the most impressive winning streaks in history. The New York Yacht Club, of which Colonel Stevens was a founding member, successfully defended the cup for 132 years. No one ever beat them for 132 years. They were undefeated until September 26, 1983, when the Australia 2, skippered by John Bertrand, ended the longest winning streak in sporting history with a 41-second margin. They beat them by 41 seconds and they hadn't lost in 132 years. That win was a milestone moment for Australia, held like a national holiday. Even America tipped its cap to the Australia 2. It was awarded Athlete of the Year by ABC's Wide World of Sports. I'm not sure how a boat wins that award, but that's water under the bridge, LOL. The question is this: how was the Australia 2 able to do what no one had done in 132 years? If you haven't tasted victory in 132 years, it's hard to imagine any other outcome than defeat. The first thing you need to do is convince yourself that winning is possible. How? The answer is the first habit. You flip the script. And this whole first part of the book is about flipping the script. You've got to rewrite your narrative by telling yourself a different story, a better story. Several years before the 1983 America's Cup, the Australian skipper Mike Fletcher had read the classic novel Jonathan Livingston's Seagull. The moral of the story: begin by knowing that you have already arrived. Sounds like Stephen Covey's second habit of highly effective people: begin with the end in mind. It inspired his storyline. He made a recording of the Australian team winning the race at that time. The recording included narration of the sound of a sailboat cutting through the water. A copy of that recording was given to each member of the crew, and they were instructed to listen to it twice a day. They did this, get this, every day for 3 years. The crew listened to that recording every day for 3 years. Before even setting sail, they had won the race 2,190 times by listening to the winning of them recording. How did the Australian team bury a long losing streak? They flipped the script. They told themselves a different story over and over again. They won the race because they won the day, 1,095 days in a row. And I just love this last part. According to the cybernetic theory, there are 2 types of change. The first is behavioral. It's doing things more or less. If you're trying to lose weight, eating less or exercising more is a step in the right direction. The first order is effective as a quick fix, but the second order changes past the test of time. The second order is conceptual. It's mind over matter. It's rewriting the narrative, and that's how you flip the script. And I absolutely love that. The second story I want to share with you guys is, let me move my little thing really fast, is a story about whoops, hold on, sorry. Here we go. Okay, sorry. The second story is a story that's titled Runt of the Litter. When Bo Eason, this was Bo, was 9 years old, he drew a self-portrait on a piece of paper. I've seen the sketch up close and personal. The stick figure isn't impressive. The caption beneath it that caught my eye was "the best safety in the NFL ever." That is the goal Bo set for himself at the age of 9. There was one small problem with the Goliath-sized goal that he set. I mean, literally a small problem. At Bo's first practice with his high school football team, every player was measured and weighed 100 pounds. Based on the coaches, was measured and weighed. Bo actually was found wanting to weigh that. He measured 5 foot tall and weighed 100 pounds. He weighed less, sorry. Based on the coach's expression, Bo Eason had no business playing football and actually told him that. After practice, Bo said to his dad, "The coach thinks I'm way too small to play." Without skipping a beat, his dad said, "Did they measure your heart? All I want is one moment like a father like that." Talk about nailing the landing. Did they measure your heart? But it gets even better. His dad told him a story that would flip his script and alter his identity forever. Nothing is more valuable to a rancher than his ranch dog. As a former ranch hand, Bo's father would know. The ranch dog works as hard as 10 men, herding cattle and getting them where the rancher wants them to go. This is fascinating to me. When a ranch dog has puppies, the rancher identifies the smallest puppy, which is the runt of the litter. By taking a piece of yarn around its neck, that's how they identify them. After 12 weeks, the rancher gives away all the puppies except for the runt of the litter. Why? Bo's dad said, the runt always has to work harder to survive against its bigger brothers and sisters. The runt becomes the smartest, the fastest, and the most determined. Of all the puppies, the runt's heart is the biggest. The rancher stakes his whole livelihood on that fact. As the youngest of 6 kids, Bo Eason took his father's message to heart. He would have to work harder, smarter, and longer than everybody else. That's when Bo made a contract with himself, vowing to be the first player on the practice field and the last player of the day. He kept that contract with himself for 20 years. Then get this, more than 1 million kids play high school football every year. There are 32 NFL teams with 52 men on each team. That's 1,696 spots of hopefuls of 1 million hopefuls. The odds are less than 1 in 589. That's less than 2%. So Bo Eason actually became the first safety chosen in the 1984 NFL draft, earning all pro honors his second season when he was with the Houston Oilers. Remember the contract he made with himself to be the first player on and the last player off? He kept that contract until he was traded to the 49ers. On the first day of training camp, he got dressed an hour and a half before practice, but he got onto the practice field and Jerry Rice was already there. He said, of course, coming in second to the arguably best and greatest receiver in the NFL history isn't half that bad. So he says in this book, he says, here's what he did. He painted a picture of his preferred future. And he said that then he just went after it. It became his signature story. And he said, I made that dog story my story. And he says, you should always ask yourself. And actually, I didn't know this. They made a Broadway play, by the way, Runt of the Litter, after his story, which now I'm interested to go find. But he said, ask yourself these questions. What stories are you telling yourself every day? Where do they come from? Are they helping you or are they hurting you? Are they accurate or inaccurate? Are they carefully crafted or off the cuff? Who is narrating your story? Is it you? Is it your parents? Is it your doubters, your haters? Who is actually narrating your story? And he said, every person is composed of a few themes. Those life themes reveal themselves in a wide variety of ways. And sometimes it's during the regular routine of life, and sometimes it's not. So I want you to think about that. And that's why I wanted you to ask yourself those questions. And then the last story I have to share with you, this one totally shocked me. And it's about your brave being someone else's breakthrough. And it says, Joshua Halderman grew up on the prairies of Saskatchewan. His first job was breaking wild broncos. With that acquired skill set, he would organize one of Canada's first rodeos when the domino effect of the Great Depression hit Canada. He lost his 5,000-acre farm and had to start over from scratch. He tried his hand at chiropractic medicine, politics, and then he finally discovered his passion, flying airplanes. In 1950, he uprooted his family and moved halfway around the world to South Africa, a place he had never even been to before. With the help of his wife and their children, he disassembled his 1948 single-engine Belanca Cruise Air, I think that's how you say it. The airplane was packed into crates and shipped to South Africa and reassembled by the family once he got there. He put it back together. A few years later, Joshua and his wife embarked on a 30,000-mile round-trip flight from Africa to Australia and back. They are believed to be the only private pilots that have ever made that flight in a single-engine airplane ever. As a comparison point, Charles Lindbergh's legendary transatlantic flight in 1927 was only 3,600 miles, and they flew over 30,000. 27 years later, they flew that more than 8 times. Few people have heard of Josh and Winifred Haldeman, but I bet you've heard of their grandson, Elon Musk. And then it goes on to tell the story of how throughout his childhood, noted one of his biographers, Elon heard many stories about his grandfather's travels and the countless slideshows that documented his amazing aircraft skills. Those stories were the seedbed of Musk's imagination. Those stories were the shoulders that he actually stood on. He said, every move we make, every risk we take actually sets the stage for someone else. Your brave is actually someone else's breakthrough. We think right here, right now, but we need to be thinking future generations and dreaming bigger and thinking bigger. And he said, when we win the day, it's our own unique way we enable future generations to dream a little bigger and to think a little bigger. So I love a good story. I think Linda McKissick always taught me that people only self-discover through 3 ways: questions, stories, and experiences. And I think that we have a lot to learn from those stories. It's interesting to me. I just love when there is a good storyteller. And I think that there's something to learn from each of those. So I want you to think about this. According to some estimates, as many as 80% of our thoughts each day are negative. If the battle is won or lost in the mind, that sounds like a losing battle before it's even begun. I was shocked by that stat, by the way. That's a lot of the time. He says flipping the script actually starts with your internal script. You can't let your inner critic grab the mic and become the narrator. If you want to bury the dead yesterdays, you've got to be like the crew of Australia 2, and you have to rehearse a different story. And so I want you to think about, what different story do you need to rehearse? Actually, what story are you even telling yourself? Are you telling yourself something that maybe you always heard your parents say, or your grandparents put in your mind? Or are you listening to what people are saying on social media, or the haters that are around you? Is what you're telling yourself helping you or hurting you? And is it accurate or inaccurate? Because I would say more than 80% of the stuff we actually tell ourselves is inaccurate. It's not even accurate, right? I think for those of you KW people, there's got to be like a bold law or two around that somewhere. However, it's been interesting to me that over the last couple of weeks, I've really noticed this more. Normally, and I've shared this with many of you, normally at our convention, our keynote speaker is somebody, telling you how to build a bigger business, or how to sell more houses if you're in real estate, or one of those things. And this year they chose somebody to talk about happiness. And what does that tell us, right? I mean, and honestly, everyone that I know that was there, many of you are actually probably on the Zoom, would say that was their favorite part. That was like one of their biggest takeaways of the whole entire time, was listening to Sean talk about happiness. And I think that just tells us something. It tells me that we're telling ourselves a lot of stories that are false, that we probably don't need to be telling ourselves, or we're listening to people that we don't need to be listening to, or we're reading things that we don't need to listen to. And actually, this is not a political statement, regardless of your political views. I texted Heather last night and I'm like, this is why I don't like when they do these president speeches, or whatever you call them, at 9 o'clock at night, because it's like hard for me to sleep afterwards. I'm like, wait a minute. So I have to like do the rewatch, but it's like we have these things that are overtaking our mind, and a lot of it is negative. Even if we are trying not to be negative, it's like it can be all around us. So I just want you guys to ask yourself those questions. And I hope that will encourage you, if you're looking for another book to read, to read this book, because I actually found even things in here that I highlighted that that I want to share with Adam's kids about tennis. I mean, there's just so many good things in here, good lessons to learn about winning. So don't forget your March challenges, and we'll be posting these in the group. And I hope you guys got some good nuggets from today. And if you have any questions about any of this, just let us know. We're happy to help. Heather, I can help you, and you can share the Facebook group and share the Zoom, and we'll just keep growing our mindsets together, one week at a time. Thank you guys. See you later. Have a great rest of the day.
Bye.
Thanks for being on.